So we're here in Singapore, and recently Pew did a survey. Now they says it's a survey of the world, but it was predominantly Western countries with a few other countries mixed in there. And predominantly young people in most Western countries appeared to have a negative view of China, but there was two outliers, Malaysia and Singapore. So as we're here in Singapore, we thought we'd get out on the streets and try and find some Singaporeans and ask them some questions and opinions about China. Okay, so first of all, can I ask you where you live?
In Singapore.
And are you a Singaporean?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so if I say the country of China to you, what three words and phrases first come into your head?
Oh, homeland, right? The CCP, and Shanghai.
Okay, and in general, do you have a negative or a positive or a neutral opinion of China?
Neutral.
You have a neutral opinion. And how have you got that opinion? Is that from reading in the media, or have you visited China?
I used to work there for 4 years.
Okay.
And with people I got to know in China, yes, I formed my opinions, and so the media don't affect me so much.
Okay. And in Singapore, do you find the media positive or negative about China?
Generally quite neutral, but a bit more positive.
Okay, that's good. All right, well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I first ask where you're from?
From Portugal.
Portugal. Okay, now if I mention the country China to you, what three words or phrases first come into your head?
So, speed, technology, and electronics.
Okay.
I lived in China, by the way, in 2019, in Shenzhen. Okay.
Oh, that's very interesting, because I also live in Shenzhen.
Okay.
And do you generally have a negative or a positive opinion of China?
More for the positive side.
Yeah. And do you feel that the media in your country of Portugal is negative or positive about China?
I don't speak much about China. I would say neutral for that. So the news we see in Portugal, they are either for the good, either for the bad. Politically, more for the bad, but like technology-wise and like evolution-wise, more for the good. I guess that is like this obscure thing that people don't really know what's going on inside China.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you've been there. I find that people who've been there have a different view to people who've never been there.
Yeah.
And one last question: do you find the media twist the truth about China, or do you think they report factually?
Yeah, I would say twist in a bit, because since we have very little information from China, usually like the unknown is very scary, right? So people usually go to like the textile factories with no social laws or security, so they usually enhance those facts, and they don't show up so many other great stuff that happens in China.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, can I ask where you're from?
I'm from Luxembourg.
You're from Luxembourg. Okay, and if I mention the country of China, what three words or phrases first come into your head?
Communist Party, human rights abuse, non-transparency. Great, but I have more. I'm a sinologist by training, so it's complicated for me to...
And
I mean, this is the current, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But China has a great civilization. Unfortunately, it's not in sync, I find, at this stage.
Okay, and would you say you generally have a negative or a positive opinion of China?
I have a positive opinion of China as the people, but not of the government and the
Okay.
Communist Party.
Okay, and how have you formed that opinion?
Over many years, I've studied and worked in China for 8 years, but quite a long time ago. I've been watching, of course, a little bit of how China evolves, and so over many years that has formed. So that's why I say I have a great respect for Chinese civilization, culture, and everything. But unfortunately, I find that the Chinese Communist Party is not in sync with its people.
Okay, that sort of goes against what surveys have said. There was a survey done by Harvard which suggests that the Chinese government have a very high popularity rating amongst their people, which is in contrast to a lot of Western governments. And the other thing I'd say, they seem to have quite a society, you look at, say, the US or some of the European societies, and they're in a bit of a mess at the moment, and that doesn't seem to be the case in China.
But there's no free will and no free expression of opinion in China. So how can you, that is the same about the Russian war in Ukraine. How can you say that the people are have a positive opinion when they're not really have the possibility to express what their opinion is?
Okay.
And they can only say it's positive, because if they say it's negative, then they'll be persecuted. So that's not, in that sense, I find it's not a real opinion poll. On the Western side, of course, I think there's plenty of issues that we have as well, and we should be looking at that. And why do we have so much populism? And there's a certain unsync or in that as well. But yeah. So one thing I often think of is that in the West, maybe we attach indeed too great importance to individual rights and not on the society as a whole. And maybe that is something, again, that China, but in Asia in generally speaking, is playing in their favor.
Okay, that's really interesting. One last question. Do you feel the media in the West report factually on China, or do you find they twist things?
That is a good question. I think that indeed Western media also often say what they think what we want to hear. So it is indeed complicated and not clear if they objectively report. But it's also true that in China, and especially these years when China has been closed to a large extent, how do you want to form a real opinion? I mean, there's, especially in political affairs, there's no clear, I mean, there's no transparency. How can we know what the Communist Party inner circle really thinks if we only get the outside shell of what they say? So.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're
Your
welcome.
answers were very interesting indeed. Thank you.
Where are you from?
Very appreciated. So first of all, can I ask where you're from?
I'm from South Korea.
Okay, and if I mention the country of China, what 3 words or phrases come into your head?
Oh, just in my opinion, is China is our neighbor country to Korea. So it's a little friendly to me. But nowadays, just thinking about the young Korean people doesn't like the Chinese people.
Okay.
Because there is many reasons, especially my kids are thinking about China always make Korean things to be looks the Chinese things. Yeah. For example, the traditional Korean clothes we called the hanbok, and they said the hanbok is also from the China, and especially our what's that? China has a kung fu muscle, the kind of athletic
karate.
Kung fu, and the karate is in Japan, and the kung fu is in China, and the Korea has taekwondo. But some of the Chinese guys, they said the Korean taekwondo is originally from the China.
Okay, I see.
Those kind of things make the young people to make China is not good. But in my case, is we need anyway the China economy and the other something for the money, especially the economic things is very related between the Korea and the China is very deeply. So I focus on that, and there is many things I have to learn from the China also.
Okay, so would you say your view of China is quite positive?
Now,
Yes.
yeah, in my case, it's positive.
Okay, and one last question. The media in Korea, do they present a positive or a negative face for China?
Actually, in my view, with the broadcast in Korea is normally the negative is maybe negative view is over 60%, and maybe 40% is a positive view.
All
through
right.
the broadcast and the YouTube. Yeah.
What sort of topics do they cover in the media? Is it a broad range of topics, or do they focus on just one?
The first one is the economic things, because nowadays exchange rate is going up, so the Chinese people has some big trouble. And those kind of things I saw. And the other thing is maybe the Korean, what's that? The entertainment. Nowadays the Chinese government they stopped the Korean entertainment stars came to the Korea to make some business. They stop and they profit anyway. So those kind of things also. And the last one is actually in China it is necessary to get some permission to launching the online game. So in Korea there is many the online game company, but they cannot go to the China and make a business because they don't have a certification and those kinds of.
I understand. Yeah.
So,
okay. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
You have a good day. So first of all, can I ask where you're from?
I'm Singapore.
You're Singaporean.
Yeah.
Okay. If I mention the country of China, what 3 words or phrases first come into your head?
Food. Is the Great Wall of China considered one? Okay, the Great Wall of China, and pretty boys.
Okay, pretty boys. That's an interesting one. Okay, and would you say you have a generally positive opinion of China or a generally negative opinion of China?
Not sure. Maybe kind of neutral.
Would you say that's typical of young Singaporeans?
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not that young though.
Oh, I think you are. And is your media here positive about China or negative about China or neutral?
Kind of neutral actually.
Kind of neutral.
Feel, yeah.
And have you ever been to China?
No.
No. Okay. Would this somewhere you'd like to go?
Nah, it's not on my list.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, can I ask where you're from?
I'm from Japan.
Okay, that's interesting because you're the first person from Japan we've got. If I mention the country of China to you,
Right.
what 3 words or phrases would first come into your head?
Money. Red. And I don't know, dim sum.
Okay. Would you say you have a generally positive or a generally negative opinion of the country of China?
I would say slightly negative.
Okay. And where do you get your information from?
The media.
Yeah. And is the media generally negative in Japan or positive?
I would say negative.
Negative. You mentioned that the reporting generally is towards the negative side in the media in Japan. Can you sort of expand on what topics they generally cover?
Sure. I would say a lot of the economic trades as well as pollution. That's probably like the most negative image that I have.
Okay. That's really interesting because actually China are doing probably more than most other countries in the world to attack pollution and green energy. Have you ever travelled to China?
I have.
Okay. And whereabouts did you visit in China?
I was in Beijing for a little while. I was also in Hong Kong, but which is like close to China.
Yeah. Well, it's now part of China. Yeah. And why would you say your views are negative? What makes you think negatively about China?
I guess just the media portraying the Chinese government in a negative way, but also I guess tourists. Chinese tourists in Japan are pretty portrayed in a negative light.
Okay, and one last question. Japan are very close allies with the USA.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a negative thing or a positive thing?
A positive thing.
Okay, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you asked for more of these kind of street opinion interview videos, and that's what we've brought you again today here in Singapore. We try to get more native Singaporeans, but they seem very elusive today. If you do want to continue to see more of these type of videos, let us know in the comments, give the video a thumbs up. But as always, from Singapore, for now, take care.